In today's video, let's discuss bad knees, specifically no cartilage in the knees, and some top exercises that you can do to replace the squats that you're not able to do anymore. A little bit about me is I'm a certified personal trainer. I have over 5,000 hours of working with people who have things like knee pain, back pain, corrective exercise issues, muscle imbalances, things like that. I have a corrective exercise specialization, orthopedic exercise specialization, and senior fitness. So I know a little bit about this topic. What I want to talk about today is a few exercises that you can use to strengthen your quads without having to worry about hurting your knees in the process. One thing to note though is that before you start any exercise program, make sure that you talk with a doctor, physical therapist, someone of that sort, and see what you can and can't do before you start any exercise program. Of course, because I'm not a medical professional, I'm just a personal trainer that has some experience. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. We're in the gym now. The first exercise that I recommend people is something called a step up. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but pretty much it's exactly what it says. You just step up and step back down. Actually, this step is too high for what I would recommend people who don't have any cartilage in their knees to begin with, but this is the only option that I have, so we're going to use this one. I would recommend something even lower, something, that starts maybe right here. A lot of other gyms have that kind of little platform that you can use, but I only have these here, so we'll use these. So really easy. You can use this. This is something I would recommend. So that way you're not putting all the pressure just on this one leg when you're stepping up. Just like it says, we're just going to step up and you want to go easy back down, starting it. Okay. Now, so there's some other ways that you want to do this. If you have really bad knees that are really painful, I would recommend kind of stepping out further and using this leg to push off. That way you're not putting so much pressure on this knee, on this leg. So I would come up and then back down. Okay. Something like that. Now, so whatever is comfortable for you. This is something that I did with a client. We started really, really basic, very low. It wasn't that she didn't have any cartilage in her knees. It was that she had arthritic knees. So they were very, very painful. All of a sudden, if she bent it a certain way, be very sharp pain in her knees. We were very careful with her to make sure that we did the most basic exercises. And this is one of them that I did with her. And you would just step up and step back down. This was before she got her knee replacement. And strengthening the quads really helps you if you get a knee replacement for physical therapy. Since I saw this one behind me, I thought I would mention something about this machine. There's a lot of machines that you can still do when you have bad knees or nerve cartilage, arthritis, anything like that. This is one of the machines that you don't want to do. It just puts too much pressure on your knees when you come up and down like that. If you're familiar with going to the gym, being in physical therapy, stuff like that, you probably already know that this is a machine you don't want to do. But for those of you who may be new to the gym, new to working out, you may not know this. Yeah, so this is one that you don't want to do if you have bad knees. Okay. The next exercise that we can do is something called sit to stand. Now there's progressions to this one. What we can do is we can start with just the contraction, and then there's another progression that we can do where we go for the full range of motion. This one was really good to make sure that you're not putting any pressure on your knees. You're really focusing on sitting back. With sitting back means that you're taking a lot of the pressure off. Okay. You're not necessarily leaning forward or anything like that. Now, you do have trouble leaning forward when you're standing up from sitting. You can use something like I'm using a foam roller because it's the closest thing I could use. Um, but you could use something like this, something more stable. You could use the wall to kind of focus on pushing yourself up to be able to use your quads. Okay. Now, if you don't have an issue, if this isn't an issue for you, you can really focus on standing up like that. I kind of went down a little bit too far. Now, another thing is you ideally don't want to start with a bench that's this low. If there's a bench that's higher, I would choose that. If you're working out at home, you can find like a stool or something. I wouldn't recommend a stool. That's something that you don't have to sit as far back. So that way you can still work your quads, but you don't have to worry about falling or creating the pressure on your knees. Once you feel comfortable with this one, you can add some weight. You can add a dumbbell. You can add like a plate, something like that. And you can, like that. Let's say. All right. I waited until this one was available because this is the leg press. I want to show you guys that if you have bad knees, this is the perfect one that you should be doing. There's other leg presses that you can do, but this one is my favorite for if you have bad knees, like no cartilage, arthritis, whatever. The reason is because you can change how close or how far the plate is with the seat instead of, you know, the plate being stationary. All right, so what I mean by that is I'm gonna do lighter weight just to demonstrate. What you want to do is push out, and if you have bad knees, you can just do partial movements like that. Okay. The reason that I like this leg press more than the others is that you're pushing the plate instead of you moving towards the plate and pressing off of the plate and the plate stationary. If your gym has one that can move even further back, that way you see how my legs are still pretty much 90 degrees. If you have a leg press that can, the seat can go even further back, and you can really just start here and just do partial reps, that would be even better. Okay. But if you can get to this point, the starting point, with no pain, then this is a good option for you. All right. So I'll try to do the most basic exercises, and we said I could do all this easily. All right, so let's go to full-on squats. You just have an issue doing squats. So 2 options. First option is you can easily just point your toes out like this. Okay, go like that. That mainly works the outer quads and the adductors, but there's different ways you can work the other heads of the muscle as well by doing some of the other exercises. I'll show you a different way. Second way that you can do is you can get a couple plates, right? And a couple plates, okay, stand on them like this, right? And do squats like that. If that feels easy enough for you, then you're golden. You can add a dumbbell. You can do this for barbells. Really easy to kind of switch up. You can do this with the one of the previous exercises I did, the sit to stand, both squatting to the bench and standing up. You can even use plates when you're sitting down and coming up like that. Those are the top exercises for people who don't have any cartilage in their knees, have arthritis, have any sort of knee pain, and they can't do the normal squats, normal range of motions that they used to do. Even though these exercises may seem a little bit mundane, it's good to add them into your program if you do have knee pain, because what you eventually want to be able to do is go back and return to doing barbell squats like you used to, dumbbell squats. The best way to start with that is strengthening the quads doing these simple exercises. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give a like as well as subscribe so that I can keep making more content like this. Thank you guys so much for watching the video.